First of all, I don't know how it's been 40 years when you're only 35. I can't figure out the math.
Well, you know what?
How
I'm
is that
proud
possible?
to be 60 years old, baby.
Man, you are amazing. You're like, I watched you at Comic-Con. You're so well-spoken. You're like the ideal role model, I think.
Thank you.
And your character, Laurie, is just also really embodies that. What makes her so special?
Her intelligence. You know, what I loved about this girl in that original movie, she was so smart. She was so thoughtful and so resourceful, as we learned in the movie. And of course, then 40 years later, it's a movie about trauma. What happens to people when they have a trauma like that and nobody helps them? There are no mental health people descending on Haddonfield 40 years ago to help Laurie. I really think she probably went to school the day after it happened with a bandage on her arm and had people just say to her, yeah, you're fine.
Yeah.
And that actually has a big effect on a human being, and I think that's the person we see now 40 years later.
Hey guys. Hey, Tanner with Cineplex. Hey Danny, how you doing? Hey. So when did you become such a Halloween expert, man? People are so surprised, I think, to see you as a writer on this one.
Yeah, that's right, man. You know what? I like to keep people on their toes.
And how do you keep this movie still scaring people 40 years later? You got a whole new audience now, whole new generation. How do you guys do it?
Well, I think there's a lot of tropes and cliches from slasher movies, and we like to look at those as opportunities for ourselves to give people a little bit of what they expect and then a lot of what they don't expect, and to use the kind of conditioning of audiences over the last few decades of horror films and show them something new.
Yeah. How does it feel to now finally bring it to an audience for the first time?
I haven't even seen it. So it's like we're all excited. I mean, I just feel like a fan going in there.
Is it weird if you're going to be scared of your own movie, though?
Yeah, I mean, I screamed at the trailer, and I was there when they shot the knife thing in the closet, and I still screamed.
And what about this film in particular, this franchise with Halloween? Why are we still so scared by it, so many years later?
I think the great thing about it, a lot, but I think the most kind of profound thing about Halloween is that Michael Myers is so anonymous, no backstory. He just is pure evil and very simple. And I think that somehow is incredibly relatable and has been for 40 years.
And could you imagine 40 years later we would still be here for this film and they would have lived this long?
Thank you.
I mean, people are screaming for you.
I really wouldn't have known 40 years ago. I'm not that person. I don't look ahead.
Did you have a feeling like reading that script or being on that set that you were like, this is going to stick around for a while?
No one did. We made a movie in 17 days for $300,000. It was amazing.